Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something wild. The idea that you are the architect of your own reality. We're going to uncover how the world you experience is this unique construction, built from the ground up, right inside your skull. So, let's just jump right in with a huge question. That world you see and hear and feel, is any of it actually real? To even start to unpack that, we have to tackle the biggest mystery of all. Consciousness itself. Right, so if we want to understand reality, we've got to start with the very thing that's experiencing it, our own consciousness. But what even is that? A whole team of top neuroscientists and philosophers, they actually lock themselves away for a week to debate this exact question. And you'd think they'd come up with something super complex, right? But what they landed on was, well, it was surprisingly simple. That's it. First-person subjective experience. It's the one thing in the entire universe that only you have access to. It's not about being smart or being able to talk. It's just the raw sensation of being you. It's the redness of red, the feeling of a burn, the taste of that first sip of coffee. It is your own private movie, playing for an audience of one. Okay, so how is this private movie actually made? Because this is where it gets really interesting. Your brain isn't just some passive camera, okay? It's not just recording the world. It's an active creator. It's a storyteller. I mean, really think about this for a second. Inside your skull, it's pitch black. Your brain has never seen light. It's never heard a sound. All it gets is this constant storm of electrical and chemical signals from your senses. And from that complete chaos, it has to build your entire reality from scratch. It's pretty mind-blowing. And it does this in a kind of three-step process. So first, all that sensory data comes flooding in as raw signals. But then, and this is the absolute key, your brain uses what's called top-down processing. It basically filters all that data through your entire life's history, all your memories, your biases, your expectations. And reality? Well, reality is what pops out at the end, where the raw data meets your brain's prediction of what should be there. And this is why we all pretty much live in our own little perception box, right? It's totally shaped by our own unique mind. It's how you and a friend can witness the exact same event, but walk away with completely different stories. And in a way, you're both right. At least within the reality your brain's constructed. Okay, so if our reality is a personal construct, what does that say about our personality? The very essence of who we are. Are we just stuck with the hand we're dealt, or can we actually change? Well, the science seems to say it's a bit of both, actually. Part of us is like a core blueprint. That's our genetic temperament, and it tends to stay pretty consistent throughout our lives. But the other part? That's the malleable clay. Our brains have this incredible thing called neuroplasticity, which just means they are constantly being rewired and reshaped by every single thing we experience. So here's the really important takeaway from all that. Yeah, you might have genetic boundaries. If you're a naturally anxious person, maybe you'll never be the most chill person in the room. That's okay. But within your own personal boundaries, you have an incredible capacity for change. Your experiences can literally move you from one end of your own personal spectrum all the way to the other. And this leads us to what is, for me, a truly empowering idea. If our mind is malleable, if it's like clay, then that means we can learn to become the engineers of our own experience. So you can think about our minds operating in two kind of general states. Our default mode is the constrained brain. It's logical, it's orderly, and your prefrontal cortex is basically acting like a bouncer at a club, filtering everything to make sense of the world. But we can also access the unconstrained brain. This is a state where that filter gets turned way, way down, opening up the floodgates for creativity and new connections. And when you're in this unconstrained state, some really incredible things can happen. Your sense of self, that little ego voice in your head, it gets quiet. The boundary between you and the rest of the world can feel like it's dissolving. Time can just seem to disappear. It's a state where creativity just flows, anxiety melts away, and we can tap into parts of our mind that are normally locked away. But here's the real kicker. We don't have to just sit around and wait for this to happen by accident. We can actively cultivate this state. Things like meditation or getting into a creative flow state, whether it's through music or art or sports, are common ways to get there. And so are more formal approaches, like cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT, which helps you literally reframe your thought patterns. And yes, even psychedelic-assisted therapies, which can help temporarily dissolve those really rigid mental habits. So, this ability to intentionally reshape our own minds, it doesn't just change our day-to-day experience. It opens up some massive, profound questions about our future. I mean, we're already seeing the very first steps. We have brain-computer interfaces that are letting people with paralysis move robotic limbs just by thinking about it. That's happening today. And what starts as therapy for some people almost always becomes an enhancement for everyone else down the line. We are for sure on a direct path to merging our biology with our technology. And all of this leaves us with a final, huge question to just chew on. As we gain the power to become the direct architects of our reality, of our personalities, and maybe even our biology, how is that going to change the fundamental definition of what it even means to be human? The story? Well, it's really just beginning.